Yeah, so it was kind of it was diplomatic in a sense too, right? As artistic as it was. And I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean, I'm someone who believes in diplomacy, even in the toughest and most difficult of times. These were tough times for his family, for him, for the country, and all. Now that's very important. So I mean, I think that's one thing to keep in mind. But I mean, what about the relationship in Paterno and other kind of ilustrados with Juan Luna, with Isabella de los Reyes, other brilliant people also there that I don't think also are getting as much attention? Because the weird thing about Philippines is it's always Bonifacio versus Rizal, but like, what? I mean, it's not. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to put it nicely. It's like they're not even direct rivals or anything, right? You know, I mean, like I just don't want to get into it, right? It's an opposition that I found very problematic. The framing is problematic because I don't think anyone ever considered those two as. I mean, the real rival of Rizal intellectual was Isabella de los Reyes, right? In terms of achievement, this is where I disagree kind of with Jorge and some of these folks. I think Juan Luna was really brilliant and he was really an achiever. I mean, he should have won the first prize, really. No, a little bit of racism played a role there. He won awards that no other illustrados, from my understanding, won, right, in their own respective fields. So, like, what's going on here? What's going on here?
I want to demystify also how we look at the ilustrados. I mean, some of them are really great minds, Del Pilar, Rizal, but really a lot of the ilustrados were just regular folks, no?
Yeah,
Just yesterday.
but should we even count them as ilustrados for that matter, right? Because I know Rizal was complaining a lot about at saka sa impresiones, right? Also Luna and all, they were complaining about a lot of this. We're very familiar with this, no? Kind of semi-rich kids or, you know, people from, let's say, less cosmopolitan areas come here, see European women, and they were like having to, I think Alejandro, for instance, right? He wrote something like reading it's like, okay, I see what was going on there in Madrid. You know what I'm saying? Like too much mojito, maybe. All right, yeah, go ahead.
Day about Rizal was complaining about the best thing that a lot of his compatriots were good at was waking up at 12 noon and how they spent the night gambling and going out with women.
Yeah, and all that, yeah.
Into that hold an argument with the Spaniard because there's that inferiority complex. But
Complaints
like
that
earlier we were saying it,
true, right? Yeah, I mean, these are the complaints you can still hear today, right? Like it makes sense, right?
right. And again, there were the standouts. There were the Rizals and the Lunas, and the relationship of Pedro with a lot of them. Well, Pedro kasi was a quirky character, di ba? And he was there with three brothers. Yung kabeshi ni Rizal was his brother Antonio.
Right.
And even Rizal would make little jokes about Pedro. Pedro was the funny guy, medyo the oddball, pero kaibigan pa rin. But they respected Pedro. They respected Pedro for his brains. They respected Pedro for how much he loved the Philippines.
Yeah,
also.
His help also.
His help, yeah. He helped Luna, and he
Yeah.
financially,
Yeah.
studio and materials for work, and
So
I
he
think
helped the
sponsored them in
Ilocano. So the Chinoy, Chinito helped the Ilocan. That's good. I like that. I like those kind of stories. Huh? That's good. That's good. I like that. Thanks, by the way, for treating me in Bernabeu without really wanting it. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even a fan, may ganyan ka pa. But okay, I really appreciate it. Okay, no, I appreciate it.
good one.
Now, obviously, I mean, as much as it's unfair also about like just giving, credit to one person, where discussion is going, right? Obviously, Pedro Paterno also got reduced to a certain caricature, right, of the kind of a symbol of turncoatism, and this is thanks or no thanks to the works of certain scholars. Now, obviously, Pedro Paterno was not a perfect person. He was navigating a very difficult situation. I suppose it's very hard psychologically from privilege, and all of a sudden there's revolutions, and you have to pick sides, diba? And you don't want to pick sides. All of those difficulties that, surprise, surprise, today's ASEAN countries are facing between US and China, right? I mean, it's very similar Spain versus US, rising, falling powers, ipit sa gitna. It's very, very much something that it's a theme of our era, right? Now, first of all, like, you as Paternus, how do you process that? And you know, this whole reduction and cartoonish portrayal of Paterno, and what do you think were, I mean, in what sense was Paterno a flawed character? Because of course all of them were flawed in their own ways. That's why for me I suggest read A Question of Hero, right, by Nick Joaquin. He precisely says A Question of Hero because all of them were flawed characters. Bonifacio was super flawed, right? Like one of the things that Nick Joaquin mentions is that he deliberately implicated so many other Ilustrados, and Antonio Luna got so badly tortured that it was not the same, even by Luna standards, right? So no one talks about that in UP. I mean, last time I checked, right? I got to only know those things when I read Nick Joaquin. It's like, oh, I thought Bonifacios are like, I don't know, Les Miserables hero, whatever. But anyway, speaking of that, now let's go to the politics, which is where things get really, really tricky and difficult, even the discussion of that. Like, can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, in what ways he was flawed, and in what ways do you think he was very unfairly reduced to that kind of you know, what unfortunately the colloquial understanding of Pedro Paterno is?
Well, honestly, I would rather not go there. No, I just feel that I think we should judge Pedro Paterno on his works,
In his
and
full,
maybe there be a historical re-examination of his role in history. I think he was
based
very
on evidence, right?
misunderstood.
This is what you call academic revision, right? So it's not revisionism a la denialism and all. Yeah, I mean, one of the things we know is, we're not going to name names, but we met some Spanish scholars, Spain scholars, you know, by happen chance, right? When we were visiting Rizal's monument. And, you know, one of them said something very fantastic. She said something like, yeah, how I wish we had as enough scholarship, literally study of the works of all of these other Ilustrados, especially Pedro Paterno, as we have, you know, in the case of Rizal, right? And if I'm not mistaken, there are more efforts in that direction, right? More scholarly examination. And the good thing with Paterno is that, well, he was an erudite man and he wrote a lot of things, right? So the good thing about hindi lang siya marites, right? He really wrote a lot of things, so we can look at the evidence, right, for proper historical examination. You totally don't want to say anything about it. Okay, now let's go to okay, it's even okay, never mind. Now let's talk about something interesting, right? Something let's now let's talk about something interesting. To lighten up the mood, this is towards the end of our podcast. I'm glad that we discussed a lot of important things, or I discussed some of the important things. So how old are you again? No, I'm just kidding. I mean, like, I don't, apparently it's not only with women and with no, but seriously, I mean, let's talk about something very different, but something as relevant, right? I mean, it's important to be prolific in life and successful and all, maybe, but probably it's not as important as self-care, right? Self-compassion and healthcare. And you know, one thing that really amazed me is how conscious you are with your diet. You almost have zero rice. I love paella, but come on, I burned it very well. You could see it. I would walk 7,000-8,000. So I didn't feel as bad about eating paella. There's just no way I can. I mean, I know you are a very not conscious but aware person. And I was surprised how your chronological existence is really not matching your biological, right, state of being. I mean, knock on the wood, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that? So what's your skincare? Like, don't say what's your age. What's your skincare, bro? I mean, what's going on? What's your self-care routine?
Ay, nako. Okay, anyway.
You should have
I'm
shaved
50.
like me, you should have shaved, and then I'm sure people would be even more amazed, right? By the gap between chronology and biological age. Yeah.
Okay, to put it out there, I'm 58 years old, and yeah, I'm
I mean,
very.
yeah, 50, yeah, exactly. I mean, like, I didn't expect, I was saying maybe mid-40s, right? For an Asian, right? For an Asian, by the way. Because I'm an Asian, I know. Because let's be honest, Asians generally, you know, like, they age well, right? So even for an Asian, I would say you're mid-40s, maybe. But like, what? It's like, what's going on there? Like, okay, aside from having good genes, right? What else? Because my lola also has Chinese genes, and I think that sometimes helps. Not to mention Filipino genes are great too, but I'm just saying Chinoys tend to age very well from what I understand, including, you know, people close to my heart. Yeah, tell me a little bit about it. Now talk more, kasi kanina, sumasagot
Yeah.
na ako.
This is typical of our conversations. It really goes everywhere. But anyway, okay. I follow a diet. Actually, I wouldn't even call it a diet. I
Since
just
when?
uh,
Since when?
since the year 2000. Since the year 2000.
So this is a 2-decade
Literally,
long. Wow, amazing. Okay, so how did it start? So how did you become health conscious? Is it because you realized, okay, magka-40 na ako, not, I mean, how was that working? Was it because of that? Like you're reaching your 40 and you said, hey, maybe I have to get things together? Or was it something you watched, something you read? Is it someone you dated who made you more health conscious? Like, for instance, ako, I didn't use skin cream at all until I was 30, early 30s. And you know, an ex-partner of mine, she told me, hey Richard, you travel a lot and that's gonna make your skin very dry. Maybe you want to do something about it because you're not 20s anymore. So that's really where I started. So the beginning of that. And then of course a previous partner of mine, she really was against smoking and all. So I totally quit any kind of smoking whatsoever, right? So, and as you know, we're very sober people, both of us. So like, how did it start? Like in your case, how did you become so self-compassionate? And kasi parang alam ko uso lang yan mga past 5 to 10 years lang, no? It's a very millennial thing, no? This whole skincare, yoga, whatever, right? It's a millennial and 1960s baby boomers things. I didn't see Generation X, your generation, as conscious about it. But tell me about it. Sorry, ang dami ko nang sinabi.
well, it started in the year 2000. I just realized, hey, it's time to take care of myself. And honestly, I don't put anything on my face. I've never gone to a derma for skin, whatever you call it,
whatever. Yeah.
All I do is really diet, basically diet and sleep. So year 2000, I decided I'm gonna go sugar free. So I have stopped eating sugar for the last 23 years. I stopped eating simple carbs. Stopped eating, white rice, potatoes. I stopped eating anything that causes inflammations in the body.
Yeah, of course. So anti-carcinogenic. Yeah. Wow.
Exactly. So yeah, basically it's that. No, I avoid sugar. I don't take soft drinks. I also don't smoke, and I make sure I get enough sleep at night. I try to get 7 or 8 hours at night. Basically, that's it. Nothing else. I don't do anything else. Yeah, basic. I think really what you,
right? But it takes
yes, it does.
Right?
You get used to it.
Di ka ba nahirapan? Like, what was the transition period? Suddenly no white rice, suddenly no, very strict, wala nang puyat-puyat masyado. Like, what was going on there?
Right. Instead of white rice, I eat black rice. Diba? Instead of regular wheat bread, I look for whole grain bread. I mean, there are substitutes out there that are expensive. And for those that argue, if you go sugar free, then you'll be eating sugar substitutes. So I try to vary. I try to
like what?
Stevia, but stevia is a natural sweetener, so I look for products with stevia. But then again, once in a while, when you're with good company and good friends, I'll treat myself to a paella and drink a mojito. You know what I mean?
You indulge once in a while. Yeah. That's important because ayaw mo maging tiga. I mean, what was the right word for that in Tagalog? Like, you don't want to starve yourself of little joys here and there, right? But at least in terms of 6 out of 7 days, or more like 29 days out of 30 days a month, you stick to very strict diet. Although your diet style is different, because I was talking about intermittent fasting, and I was telling about hormesis, which is if you fast, especially if you're just eating once a day, the pressure you put on your body creates more resilience at the cellular level, right? Mitochondrial level. But in your case, you eat like an athlete, right? Which is a lot of times, but little by little, right? You're more like the athlete style, right? Yeah.
I do micro meals, and I never eat too much at one point. Sort of like how our ancestors were, hunter-gatherers. So
yeah, exactly.
I try to avoid, just little every day, every 3 hours, every 4 hours, and no big mega meal. I know, right? I know some people that, I think you, Richard, you take only 1 or 2.
Yeah, I do a 1 heavy brunch, and then dinner should be very light. I mean, if I had a chef, for example, I just want soup at night, no? And there are days when just 1 heavy brunch keeps me full the whole day. if only not for migraine or other, because of, I'm a journalist, right? So our working schedule is a bit crazy. If not, I probably once a day I think should be enough. So I sent you, for instance, works by David Sinclair, right? Was this new guru on anti-aging and all. I mean, I have my misgivings and so I think vegan siya. Anyway, but he gets away with one meal a day, and he's a very hyper productive scientist, right? Not to mention now an influencer, so we have evidence of people who keep a very productive, clarity of mind with just one meal a day, just one decent meal. So my only regret, not necessarily regret, is that I'm with that one meal, I'm a little bit self-indulgent. So there's clearly rice there and a little bit here and there. But if I keep the amount, or like the frequency and the volume under control, I think my body takes care of it. By the next day, I feel much lighter and all. I mean, you could see it, especially when I'm in Europe. I keep a very light. Even you saw me. I ate a lot of paella and all, right? But the next day you can see me. I cleared it out, and you could see it, like, so. No, you shouldn't see it. It sounded so wrong. You could, but you get what I'm saying, like my clothes still can fit and all, right? Like, I can still do the three-piece suit and all. So that means I'm giving my body enough time to process, even if I do excess and self-indulgence here and there. So I'm psychologically happy in the sense that I enjoy the meals I want, but I only do it once a day. That's it, right? The second meal at most should be soup or something light. So I was just suggesting maybe you want to check it, especially because of the hormesis, no? When you push your body in. So speaking of hormesis and like this panic mode level that body gets when you're fasting, you can also get it, and you should get it also with intense exercise. So my suggestion is sometimes, so for instance, I'm practicing right now both breathing and running fast. So if I can keep my BP level below 160 or below, or at least at 160 consistently, even if I'm running at 12 km/h speed, no? So I start breathing at 6 to 7, at 8, I'll keep it up at 1. So I go from 120 to 160, but I try to keep it at there, even if, so I do half a kilometer of running, 12 kilometers. So those are new things I'm trying right now, which I didn't do before, because I used to breathe more from my mouth when it's high intensity. So breathing from nose is very important because you're almost meditating, right? So meditation. Do you do meditation, yoga, those things, breathing techniques? Are you also working on that? Or are you
No,
interested in working on those things?
yeah, that's something
Level up even more, yeah.
Read a lot of good things about it. That's something I want to look into. I like you sent me a video about the healthcare before, no, and they were talking about telomere length, things in
Yeah,
the,
right.
that's very interesting. That's one thing I believe in, and also and antioxidants. I try to
Yeah.
also eat a lot of food with antioxidants. I think
So you don't do
these
any
are these
supplements or
are
anything like that? You don't do any supplements? No, no.
not at all.
Amazing. Yeah. Ako, I don't do
These
any
days,
supplements because I'm worried about pressure and liver organ. But they say if you want to build some muscle and all really solid, you might need, I don't know. The jury is out on that. Some people are more comfortable, some people are not. But I'm glad that you keep a very fit, overall posture and stature with no supplements, and you're doing micro. So the thing is this, I think the future of medicine and healthcare is really personalized, right? So for each person, really different things work, because like there are things. I did keto, like I did just meat for 3 weeks, no rice, anything for one month almost. I lost 10 kilos. That was fantastic, but I was a completely unhappy person. So it's not sustainable. It only makes sense if you're overweight now and you want some radical solution, but it's not something you can do for years. But the intermittent one is really something I think you can sustain over time if you cannot do the micro meal. Because the thing with micro meal is it needs discipline, portioning. You get what I'm saying? And I'm not saying your life is easy or easier, but I'm saying maybe it's not as practical for a lot of people who have a much more difficult time of controlling their schedule, right? And kung tinatawag ka ng boss mo every hour or so, like, sir, I have to do my second micro meal. I don't think it works, right? Because you can do micro meal of unhealthy micro meals, and I don't think it's. I'm sure your micro meals are healthy micro meals. No rice, no whatever, no sugar. So but do you think it's more affordable now to have a healthy lifestyle? Because of course the big argument is this. I mean, let's be honest. Like obesity is a problem among poorer communities in places like US, for instance, right? Because if you want a cheap food, $1, $2, go to McDonald's, right? But it's also the unhealthiest, most horrible food, right? So if you want more expensive you want more vegan food, it tends to be more expensive, or more balanced diet or good quality meat. But over the 20 years, parang mas affordable na, or very affordable ng healthy food, right?
Ako, I eat almost anything. I don't go out of it for
You're not really, you not go out of your out of limits. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's really the quantity and the sequencing that is, yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. What about exercise? Do you have a certain routine, exercise, etc.? Aside from
yeah,
walking a lot,
I
you know?
exercise almost every day, but it's just running,
Yeah.
lift little weights once in a while, but nothing extreme, nothing
Yeah, nothing
extreme.
exactly, nothing like calisthenics. Then okay. No, I mean, because for me, I mean, the advice is, especially once you're above 40, is you have to do muscle strengthening exercise. It's good para to avoid atrophy. So some basic muscle exercise is very important. All right. I don't think people are prepared for this part of our discussions, but see, there's so much to talk about, right? There's so much to talk about. What are the
I
new
know
things that are
this is
being
so typical of our conversations, Richard. It can go from politics to art to architecture. Bigla na lang naging healthcare sa dulo.
orchidaceous, right? Like, yeah, yeah. It's like it goes all different directions. Parang mga ganyan, di ba? Like it goes all over the place. Yeah. No, I was just amazed at how, how healthy and strong you've kept yourself. Again, knock on the wood. And I know this is not an easy thing. I'm sure you have been through a lot in your life. I mean, it was really the traumatic political situation here that drove you there. But are you planning to come back more often to the Philippines once you have settled things out down there or up there?
Yes. In fact, I'll be back in Manila in June, July. So,
Fantastic, right? And what about like being more permanently also based here? Like, do you want to do like, kung may bi-coastal in the US, are you gonna do like, like 6 months here, 6 months there kind of thing?
well, honestly, for me, Philippines is home. I'm a
Yeah.
proud Pinoy. See, I have in my living room a Philippine flag right on top of me. Outside of my apartment, there's a Philippine flag also. So really, Philippines is home. I plan to go home very soon. Maybe a year or two, I'll be back already based in Manila.
Oh, right.
This is
So
this is just for
yeah,
me.
this is a
Yeah.
diversification strategy. I mean, you're a businessman after all. Makes perfect sense. And speaking of diversity, make sure lang hindi kayo ma-scam dyan sa Madrid and all. Let's not name names. All right. Thank you very much, bro.
Wait, I wanted to say also, Nate, going abroad. If you have the chance to go abroad, it's very enlightening. That's why I always think that there are OFWs. They're like our modern day ilustrados. You go abroad, you see best practices. You see, you after your stint abroad, you go home, you tell your kids, or maybe by the time your grandkids, you tell them how in Singapore there's no people stealing. You
Right.
go to Madrid, you go to Paris, and you say the transport system works, and you don't have to take 2 hours to go home from your work.
Right.
Diba?
Well,
And
not
you
in
tell them
LA.
it's
Not if you're living in LA. It's like, and New York transport is not so
hopeless.
I know.
But what I'm saying is, when you live in a
Yeah.
society where it's all right to pay taxes because
Sorry
the
about
money
that. Yeah.
that you pay is not stolen. It will come back to you in infrastructure, in good streets, in healthcare, in good
I
mass
know.
transit. These are things you see abroad, and hopefully our OFWs, they bring it back to besides the money they send, they bring back these new ideas
New ideas
and
and I mean,
influence the
yeah.
Philippines.
And for me, I mean, every time I'm in, especially in Europe, not as much in the US, no offense to the US, but especially in Europe, first of all, my body clock is swak, di ba? You could see me. I always wake up on time. I'm always early, 6, 7 a.m. Tinitext na kita or may, it's so not me, right? I'm like Batman, right? There suddenly I don't know, Superman, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, but you understand like, wow, there's so much more to life, right? Having a quiet coffee in the morning in a quiet, nice place, no? Oh, yeah, it's just yes, there's so much more to life, right? Than work and earning and paying the bills and having the latest cars and latest phone and what you get what I'm saying. It's almost philosophical to me. It's existential to me. Like that's why I really need to be in Europe or in the Middle East every year or so because it's really there whether it's in Istanbul, whether it's in not the Dubai kind of Middle East, like the more northern parts of Middle East where the climate is 4 season and in Europe that's really where I get to be myself, walk a lot, walk 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers a day, indulge in the food, eat here and there, and the architecture is amazing. I like the preservation of the old. I'm a person who loves the pyramids and the Persepolis and the Parthenons, and you know, those are the things that really get me going. And you know, yeah, I really appreciated that the fact that it came so naturally to me. Like I was not conscious. I was just being myself, and then suddenly I'm living this certain lifestyle as if I'm always living there. So thank you for reminding us that it's also affordable to be there in Madrid, just in case my Ilocano side says maybe 2 months a year I'll be there in Madrid, or 1 month a year, right? Especially if I want to go all in with the Spanish language and all. Thank you so much, bro. As I said, this is hopefully just the beginning of it. God willing, we'll have more of these discussions. God willing, more in person these discussions. I mean, I'm really hoping as we transition, as hopefully I get some resources and support, I'll have people really in the studio, interview them a la Joe Rogan style. I mean, that's really the goal and hope that we have down the road, you know, God willing. So thank you so much, amigo, for giving us your time. I'm sure many people appreciated your advice. And as I said, maybe it's time for you to do your own vlogs, really healthcare vlogs, you know, food vlogs. Do you cook? Do you cook well? I didn't get the
Yeah, I cook.
privilege of checking out, you
Time,
know.
bro. Next week.
That's it, bro.
Next time.
That's it. Exactamo. Okay. Muchas gracias. Really, thank you very much por aceptar mi invitación. I mean, that was really a, you know, talagang podcast on profundidad. Like just like the one, again, I spoke it in Italian, profundidad. Yeah, really, bro. I really appreciate it. So I hope we'll have more of this.
Nada, amigo. De nada. Es un placer hacer contigo, estar contigo. Always a pleasure to talk with you, bro.
See, it's so natural, easy, right? You don't have to do anything, right? I mean, obviously, I have my persona on, let's say, you know, international news and all of that. But, you know, honestly, at the end of the day, this is just about being honest about our points of view and engaging. And also, I hope you had a good experience the same way that we had a great time with you, amigo. I wanted to say, where can people follow you? But it seems you still have to set up things, no? So, yeah, abangan nyo na si amigo, Manolet Paterno, for his stuff on skincare and all of that soon. But I'm sure the next time we're gonna talk, God willing, meron nakaset up na yan. Follow him. Click subscribe, yung mga ganun. Click subscribe, you know. Ikaw maging super vlogger dyan. Yeah.
Ay. That's crazy, man. But let's see what happens. Thank you.
very
Thanks so
bro.
much, man.
Have a good day.
I had
My
a great time.
apologies. You know me, I'm Aleman time, right? It's just happened. It became a little bit Espanol today because some adjustments. But thank you so much, and looking forward to more of this conversation. Have a good day. It looks like a beautiful day behind you with the Philippine flag and the sun, the sun rays there. It's beautiful. I hope you enjoy it, bro. Talk to you soon.
Likewise. Thank you.
Adios. Hasta pronto. Thank you.